Here's a pretty simple tip that isn't clearly explained in ZBrush, but as long as you know what to do, it's easy. Basically, the issue might arise when you've got a model all nicely sculpted in ZBrush, but for whatever reason, you need to import UV maps that were made in another program. Maybe the UVs needed to be edited in a program that allows for more control than ZBrush. Or maybe it was somebody else's job to lay out UVs, and now you just need to get them applied in ZBrush. Whatever the reason, we'll go through the solution right here. Okay, so we've got this gargoyle model, and it has a bunch of detail on different subdivision levels. You can see if we go down to the lowest subdivision level, there's the base mesh, and then we've got all this detail that we don't want to get rid of. However, if we take a look at the UVs, you can see that there are no UVs, basically. There's nothing to morph. We can't turn a texture map on because there's no UVs. There's no coordinates telling this texture how to map onto the model. So let's go ahead and import a model now. I'm going to go down to my lowest subdivision level. One thing I want to watch out for before I do this actually is that the model I import might be slightly different from this model. The shape might be slightly different. So what I usually like to do before doing this is going to morph target and storing a new morph target. Sometimes you might have to delete something that's already there, but I'm going to store a morph target. This basically just tells ZBrush to remember the exact shape of this model as it exists right now. Okay, now let's go up to import. Okay, so now I'm in my exercise files import UVs folder. And we've got a file in here called gargoyle with UVs.obj. So this is a model that you might export out of Maya or 3ds Max with the UVs nicely laid out. And open. So one thing you might have noticed, it went by pretty quickly, but the shape slightly shifted. So that's why we stored this morph target. If we switch it, you can see that this version has more of the detail. So if you want to make sure you don't lose any of the detail or the shape, you might want to switch that morph target so that you get that detail back. Okay, so now we can hit D a few times, go up in our subdivision levels, and you can see all of our detail is still there. However, if we go to UV map and click morph UV, you can see we've got a UV map layout. I'll click morph UV one more time to get out of that mode. If we hit Shift D a few times to go down in our subdivision levels, you'll get a smoother animation of that happening. Okay, great. Now we can go to our texture map and turn on the texture. And actually, let me switch to a material that lets us see that texture more clearly. Okay, great. So now we've got that texture applied too. Okay, so it's all pretty straightforward. It can just be confusing because you might intuitively think that importing the OBJ would replace the existing subtool and destroy all the high detail sculpting. But ZBrush just knows to combine the UVs with the existing subtool. It's pretty cool.